And I feel like I want to get started for you all who are here and ready. So thank you for being here. This is not long. I just wanted to take a minute to go with you about, talk a few minutes about the Regional Connection Gathering to make sure you knew what was going on, if you were clear and what your roles were going to be. My first question to you all who are here is, are you signed up for a regional connection?
Yes.
Is everybody, as far as you know, is there anybody who is not signed up for a regional connection that's on here now?
Are those the three topics that were provided?
Well, it's the event in which those three topics are provided.
Yes, yes.
So, okay, so you're signed up for an event. If you're on screen, yeah, go ahead, Doug.
So this is Doug. I emailed Catherine to let her know that I'm traveling over the regions near me, so I won't be participating, but I wanted to sit in on this call just to sort of hear if there's anything else that I need to know.
And I appreciate that. So this meeting is the first one of our regional meetings that you all voted in our new governance. And it is, by our manual, it is slated to be a meeting for partnerships and networking. So you can imagine, as we get ready to do a first run, the question is, how do we do this? Because we're kind of in a catalyzing position, you know? Does that make sense? We have been asked to help people to partner and network, but we can't do it for them. So I can envision that a lot of the liaison role, and that's you're here in your liaison role, is to help catalyze, help get moving partnerships. Thanks, Kate. I got it. I'm glad you're on. Is to help partnerships happen, to help people come together around different ideas. Some of you may be the only people coming from your presbytery. I hope not, but that may be the case. I'll let you know. I will send out an email. I will try to do that, let you know where we are with registration. Our hope is that the Synod commissioners would come, and that also that folks who are specifically working with or interested in the three conversation areas that we're offering would come to this meeting. But it's a mixed bag. At this point, most of the regions have a number in the teens coming. I would love to see it a little higher than that, but we're going to stick with all three conversation groups in each area unless I find that there is no registration for somebody. I don't think that's the case. Your role will be to keep listening. Keep listening throughout.
Valentine.
Hey, Madeline.
Has joined the meeting.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I tried it. Well, but thank you. I'm here.
Not a problem. Glad you're here. Your role will be to keep listening and to take notes about what you hear. The three conversation groups for the morning particularly, which are financial networking.
Yes. Yeah. I have that down. There's,
I'm speaking to the whole, Madeline, I'm talking to the whole group right now that are on here, okay?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just letting you know where we are. Your role will be, as commissioners, your role is to participate in one of those morning groups. First we'll have worship, then we'll have conversation about being more together. Johnny is going to lead us in worship. I'm going to lead us in a conversation about our new tagline, which those of you who are on the computer can see. Synod of the Trinity, being more together. Our first hour from 10 to 11, we'll reflect on this and worship around this. Then from 11 to 12:30, we'll be in our targeted conversation groups. Number one is about resourcing and equipping our congregations in meeting financial challenges, which is primarily for presbytery leaders in the area of finances to help think about how they do and don't and might better resource congregations. This is the only workshop that also has an afternoon component. Helping Chantal will be in the East and Central meeting, the finance person from Philadelphia, and in the Northwest and Southwest, the finance person from Pittsburgh. We are going to be listening to what comes out of these conversations, partly because there'll be opportunities to do more training, perhaps find more resources, share information, but that's what's going on there. The second targeted conversation group is one on connecting and resourcing young pastors or new pastors. And if you haven't looked carefully at these, you might want to. This one is really a conversation, because I hear from presbyteries, oh, we only have 2 young pastors, we don't have much for them. Oh, we have a group for our younger pastors. It's really a great way of supporting them. Oh, I remember when Synod used to do the Taste of Ministry gathering, which happened once a year for 3 years. Well, what would it be like to bring these questions together in a conversation and to think about our young pastors? Maybe in one region we'll find that a presbytery, say like Donegal, has something going on. Could they possibly open it up to their neighbors? Maybe not, but maybe they have something to share with their neighbors. Or maybe we'll hear in the Northwest and the Southwest that it would really be helpful to whatever work the presbyteries are doing if the Synod went back to providing some kind of an opportunity. So there's some questions that our conversation leaders are going to work on in addition to just seeing where the group goes. And I told you who was leading the financial one. We have 4 different people who are leading our Connecting and Resourcing Young and New Pastor conversation. We have Tilly Chase, who is a COM person in Lehigh, leading in the East. Kate Stillman, your vice moderator, who's on this conversation, is leading in the Central District. In the Northwest, Betty Angelini, who's the director of Crestfield and who does other work in the Presbytery, is facilitating. And in Morgantown, in the Southwest, we have Shelley Barrett Parsons, who is the chaplain at Morgantown, Presbyterian chaplain, and who also runs the faith-based dorm program there on site. In Morgantown, people are going to have the opportunity to hear about that ministry and go on a tour of the dorm when at the end of our gathering. So that'll be a neat thing. So that's that second conversation. The third conversation group is a bit different still. It comes out of a time in the not too distant past when the Synod and the presbyteries were putting a lot of money together into resourcing churches for in a 3-year kind of program that might help them get a grip on what it means to be church where they are in this time and place. We worked with Church Innovations. Some people worked with a program called Acts 16.5. Others worked with the Center for Parish Development. A lot of money went out and a lot of churches were trained, and there was some good learning, but we're not sure that we need to do it that way now, and we know that we can't afford to put that kind of money out. So Alan Adams, following a meeting around the executive leadership table where they talked about this, Alan put together a possible program, for want of a better word, that we are going to ask people to think about that would be a way for gathering our resources across our region and maybe along the edges too, to provide resources for congregations who want to do this serious work of looking at who they are and where they are and who God is calling them to be. But doing it on their own time, doing it with much, much, much less money, but gathering leaders who can work with them at different times and places. Perhaps as you read down that number 3, which, yes, I know, it takes up a whole page, you know, maybe they'll spend some time on demographics, looking at the demographics of their church and the demographics of their area. Maybe they'll think about what their purposes are. Are they thinking about just good coffee hours, or are they thinking about what's going on in their community and where God might be calling them? How are they organized? Are they organized in a way that leads to growth and leads to ministry, or are they really struggling just to fill slots? we'll set up some possibilities for that, and we'll provide in this picture of how to do this, there would be a leader walking with a church to help keep them moving. So easy to get stuck when you're trying to do a new thing. All this could happen online. All this could happen face-to-face. The suggestion is out there in number 3. It's called Turning the Church Around One Congregation at a Time. And the task of those who are having conversation groups around this at our regional gatherings is to see what they think, to make suggestions, to say this is nuts, to say we want to do this, to say I know who has a gift in this area. We'll see where the conversation goes, and then possibly at the end of it, when all 4 regions are done, we might be able to put together a team of people who will create this and make it happen. Maybe only the Northwest and the Central region want to do it now. Well, we can still get started. So this is very different from the conversation that's happening with possible implementation in the second conversation group, and from the around new pastors, and very different from the first conversation group, which is kind of part training workshop and part conversation. Do you all have any questions about these targeted conversation groups? You are each going to one, and I'm going to ask you all to take notes and have one of you be a note taker for the gathering so that the facilitator doesn't have to do that, and be responsible for getting notes back to us, because when we have 4 different things happening in 4 different places, it'll be critical that we keep track. Do you have any questions about these conversation groups? If you do, you know, go ahead and speak up, and we'll try to get it one at a time. But go ahead and ask. Are you clear on your role? Kate, you were going to ask. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you would you want us to take or have notes taken on all 3, each of the 3 sessions, and then get them to you? Because we can only be at the one. Or
that's right. That's right. Yeah, we're going to have. If we could have notes taken at all 3 sessions and cleaned up,
okay,
and then sent to us, we'll take it from there.
So we do find people to take notes for each of the 3 sessions.
Yeah, but remember, right now you have your commissioner hat on, so you're not facilitator hat. So your commissioner hat is I'm letting the commissioners know they will be needing to take notes for their own reporting. Some of them may be asked to be the formal note taker in each group. Mm-hmm. When you put on your facilitator hat in another conversation, I'm going to say to you, please make sure someone is taking notes.
Okay, got you.
So commissioners, you're listening, you're keeping track of things that you think are important throughout the day, and you're taking notes in your targeted conversation group. You may be the formal note taker for your group. Okay?
Susan?
Yes, ma'am.
Susan, this is Nathalie.
Yes,
do you want detailed notes taken when we take our notes, very detailed, or just notes?
Well, I think I would ask you to take them thinking that we're going to use these to possibly create something new.
Okay, then I'm looking at it as being very detailed, very noticeable and alert as to what's being said, and being aware of what I need to report.
I think that's right, and I think that's great. Yeah. And we will take any notes that anyone wants to give us.
This is Sheila Farrar.
Yes, Sheila.
Do we need to record who said what?
That's a good question. If somebody says, boy, I know someone who does this, or I'm good at this, that would be a good name for us to get. But in terms of conversation and comment, no. Unless you feel in your gut or your brain that it's important for us to know, it's more the conversation and how it flows. But if you get a volunteer kind of noise being made, by all means, do everything but hog tie them.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Who else?
Sue, I have another comment or question.
Sure.
When you had asked me about facilitating, I the particular number 2 group, I sent out a special invitation, again, to certain new pastors, relatively new. And one came back, and she's going to be part of the group, and she had an article that she was anxious to share with perhaps others. She asked me to read it first, and I think it could be valuable. It's called The Challenge of Sustaining Fruitful Ministry, and it comes out of a publication called Covenant.
Yep.
Would you like me to share that with others or just within my small group?
You know what? Why don't you send that to me? Maybe we'll send it out to the commissioners and they can see.
Okay.
You all, would it be helpful for you all if I let you know who at this time, in an email, not on this phone call, but if we sent out to you who was coming from your region for what workshop, would that help you perhaps target some other people or ask your leadership to say, hey, gee, do we have anybody coming to the younger pastors? Might this be helpful or something like that?
Yes, that would help.
All right. All right. We'll get that out to you. You are free to invite people. The deadline is this Friday, and that's mostly about lunches. I don't know if she can go beyond that or not, but we'll get you your emails out today, and I'll put a note on it so that those who aren't on this one but who are coming on Friday might understand what's going on. The most important thing is that we get the right people around the table, and so we're praying hard that the Spirit takes care of that. Anything else about the workshops? So lunch will be at 12:30, and different lunches in different places. Hopefully they're going to be lunches that don't make us go, eh. I don't think so. I think they're going to be good. And then at 1 o'clock, the finance workshop people do go back for a time together. We have several options of conversation that we'll be finalizing tomorrow. Some of it is to do a little bit more of information sharing about the new way the Synod is working. Some of it might be to noodle some more on the tagline, how that might be played out, Synod of the Trinity being more together. Some of it might be digging in with the people who are there from a presbytery to talk about what's going on in their region. If you have questions that you hear around your area that we're not addressing, and clearly we couldn't address everything in this first time, nor will we be able to anytime, but if there's something that's hot and burning other than who you're voting for in the primaries, send me a note. Yeah, do you know that our last Regional Connection Day is the Pennsylvania primary?
I saw that.
Yep, some of us are voting absentee. So send me a note, and that will be helpful. Around 2 o'clock or 2:15, we'll move back to sharing some about the day. But we are leaving space, not so we sit and stare at our toes, but so that if there's something emerging, we have room to insert it. We'll have a script, but in this after lunch time, we'll be able to deviate from that script depending on the needs or the wishes of folks who come. Again, because we want to be responsive and because this is about networking and partnership, and maybe over lunch something will emerge between a few people that if we give them another half hour to talk, it would be helpful.
Question, Madeline Valentine.
Yes, ma'am.
For this third session, then, so it'll be Alan Adams who will be facilitating that particular one?
No, in your neck of the woods, oh, I didn't tell you the leadership, thanks. Alan is doing it in the Northwest and the Southwest. Joy Kaufman is doing it in the central part of the state, and Virginia Minor, the executive in Lackawanna, is doing that in Region 1.
And will she be presenting? You said that Alan will have something about a possible program. Will she be doing, presenting that, or?
You have the program. Everybody's using the same.
Okay.
So the third workshop is about what's written in the PR, and that pretty much lays out a program. And she will take it from there. You will take it from there.
Yes.
She may just say, what do you think? And you guys take off with it. Or she may need to do some more digging to help. But I'm trying to have them talk together, the workshop leaders, between now and next Thursday so that they can think through a little bit of strategizing together. So that's what we're up to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan, this is
Yes,
Natalie.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Will you have a list of where we are to go according to our regions?
What are you asking me where the meeting is? Are you asking about
the groups that we are to go set in? Will there be a list of where we are to go?
You mean like the room?
You
have signed up for a workshop, Natalie, haven't you?
I have, and I think I did the church around. I think that's the one I did, number 3.
Right.
And I think my question is that there's going to be 3 people speak, so I know which region I'm to go to.
I'm not sure what I'm really not sure what your question is. There are 3 conversation groups at each of the 4 regional meetings. You are each going to one regional meeting where there will be 3 targeted conversation groups. You have signed up for one of them at this point, and we'll tell you the room you're going to. Yeah.
I understand now, Susan. Thank you.
Sure. Was somebody going to speak? Go ahead.
Would there be a chance that if you didn't have enough people in a group and we signed up for one, that we would be changed to a different one?
Who's got dogs?
Oh, it's me. I'm so sorry, Sue. My husband.
Hey, I'm going to mute you.
Okay.
I'm going to mute you, Kate. That's fine. It's possible, but I'll let you know that.
Okay.
And see, remember what I just told you, that we're in the teens for these, so it's not going to be impossible to have conversation. I just didn't want you showing up cold for this meeting. Now let me before we go, let me again put this into our new functioning. This is the second. There's a whole assembly, a whole Synod assembly every fall, and in the spring, at least once, and perhaps we'll move on to one more. There are regional meetings for partnering and networking. Partnering and networking are not a part of your governance hat. It's not like you're voting and you're evaluating the ends. This is about you being a liaison with your presbytery, and in this case, whatever presbytery you're sitting here, listening to. It's a chance for you to get people there who you think are good folks for these conversations. It's a chance for you to listen to what folks are saying. This is part of serving our beneficiaries. We're serving those folks in the presbyteries by trying to listen and provide a conversation time that may lead to a program, a resource, a gathering. We don't know. Or maybe just having the conversation is enough to help them do better back home or with another presbytery. So this is what I have affectionately called below the line, below that governance circle chart. This is a chance for us to gather and try to listen more deeply about how we might be better at doing these aspects of ministry. And I also want you to listen for anything else that comes up that you think is important that we should know together. Will we talk about these at the fall assembly? Perhaps, but we'll be more apt to get back to you with a report afterwards, much sooner than that. And we may ask you to do some more thinking about this and connecting in your region. But I've also committed to letting you know who's coming, so I will do that probably tomorrow morning. Any other questions? Do you get it? Are you feeling okay that you get how we're doing this and why?
Sue, this is Sheila again.
Yes,
this is my first time at this. Will this be the only meeting we will have before the Synod Assembly in the fall?
I think, Sheila, this is the only, unless something comes up at General Assembly that might necessitate something else before the end of October, I think this is the only regional gathering we'll have. It could be in future years there's more, but it may be that we are having a meeting tomorrow where we're trying to really set clearly some of the ways we're going to work with commissioners throughout the year. And so you may have a gathering with a few other commissioners going out to lunch or something, or out to dinner to talk about some of the issues. You may have a WebEx meeting, which is what this is. You may have a WebEx meeting to have some conversation, but in terms of what's a more traditional gathering, this is probably the only one at this time.
As I make arrangements for fall commitments, do you have a date for that October assembly?
Yes. Yes. And if somebody beats me to it on their calendar, you're welcome to shout it out.
I'm getting there.
May, June, July, August, September, October. The Synod Assembly is the probably the night of the 23rd. You'd be coming in to the Penn Stater at State College, and the meeting starts in the morning on the 24th of October and goes through lunch on the 25th.
Through lunch on the 25th at the Penn Stater. Thank you.
Yep. Good question. Thanks for asking that.
Thank you.
Anything else, folks, before we pray our way out of here? If questions come up, feel free to write Catherine or to write me. And if it's something that we feel like everybody needs to know, we'll get a hold of the whole group. But I appreciate your time. And remember, this is not a huge gathering where you'll be lost. You can ask questions as we go. We're all learning this. We're all learning this as